situation is like, you know, $5 for a cup, and then you gotta keep waiting in line for it and everything. And I had this epiphany where I was like, drinking's not worth it. This is bullshit. Beer is bunk, man. And she was like, well, acid's only $3. And I was like, why didn't you tell me that? Why didn't you tell me that to begin with? So we found acid and we did that because I'm thrifty. And if the whole country was like me, we wouldn't be in this mess. So we took the acid, we go inside, and the inside, like the inside of the Man Music Center looked like a fish's mouth was open and the Santana was playing on the mouth, which made perfect sense. And at the time, I mean, being in middle school is the psychological equivalent of a bunch of flies like pulling each other's wings off. So to be in a concert with a bunch of adults who are all like passing stuff around and being like, oh yeah, take here, you pack that bowl, sister, or whatever, and like, you know, taking a little for later, 13 and ready to pinch from the bag of life. So I was like, this is paradise, and I had a lot to say, and so I was telling Sharon all about it, and she was like mute. She stopped talking completely. She stopped. She was like, I'm on another planet, which was great because I needed a really good audience. So after the concert, we're walking outside, and I see this guy, who I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen him in a long time. What the fuck? And I go up to him, and I was like, hey, and he turns around, it was my brother, who, he was like 21 at the time, and he turns around and he was like, oh, what's going on? And I was like, we're tripping, like, this is the new me, like, we're tripping now. And he was like, do you need weed? And I was like, yeah, that's what we do need, like, that's why we came up to you. So he like gives us a little weed and like just wanders off. We never see him again. So some point of time later, I'm on the hood of a car and I have a nitrous balloon, and I'm like, this is the hottest moment of my life. I was like the Life magazine full color ad for nitrous, like girl on the car, like this is awesome. I was like, this is great. So this guy walks by and he sees me and he starts talking to me. And after a little while, he was like, how old are you? And I was like, 16, how old are you? And he's like, 16. Like, but we're both lying in opposite directions, like meeting halfway to make it work, you know, you guys? So he was like, you know, you get a really good hit off of that balloon if someone else blows it in your mouth. And I was like, you're cheap, get your own balloon. So he takes the balloon, sucks it all into his mouth, and just as I was like, hey, takes my face, and like, we start making out on this car. I was like, this is awesome. And after a little while, he was like, is your friend okay? Because Sharon's just like small wonder leaning against the windshield, like, oh. And I was like, yeah, she's fine. She stopped talking hours ago. And he was like, are you sure? I was like, enough about talking. So then, but then I could feel his boner, and like, you know, back then, I didn't know then that they went up. I thought they only, I don't know what, I was like, we gotta get out of here, this is fucked up. So we start walking, and we're like walking and walking and walking. We're like, we gotta find a payphone, we gotta find a payphone, we gotta get out of here. Walking and walking, and even though it was only 1990, payphones were already like, you know what, we're gonna be extinct soon, let's be dirty and broken now, which was the sentiment I related to. So, next thing I know, we're at like 49th and Parkside, and I'm like, fuck, alright, we finally find a phone that works, and I'm like, alright, Sharon, you gotta nail this, alright? I know you haven't been talking all night, but when I dial your dad's number, I'm gonna need you to start talking. You gotta say where we are, and that he has to come pick us up. And she was like, just standing there saying nothing, and I was like, all right, you're on in 5 seconds. So, dial the number, I like give her the phone, and I can hear him on the other side, just like screaming Farsi, like, you know, and I can hear Sharon, and, you know, and she's not saying anything, so I was just hanging up. And so we do that like 3 times, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, we'll walk. At this point, we're just prank calling him. So we just like, we start walking, and then there's this cab driver, and this cab driver was like, ladies, get in the cab now. And I was like, leave us alone, perv, we're fine. Like, she lives in Germantown. I didn't know where that was at the time, but I was like, whatever, 49th Parkside, Germantown, we can walk. So we're walking and walking, and he was like, get in the cab. So I was like, fine. So we get in, and the second I sit down in the back seat, I looked at him and I was like, okay, I don't know where she lives, and I don't have any money, and she's not talking, because I think she's on drugs. Like, pin the whole thing on her. Like, she's on drugs. That's the problem tonight. She's on drugs. Even though I was the one wearing a neon bra and a leather vest with fringe from ribs to knees. So he's like, okay, well, this is like a pro bono deal. I just got to get these girls home tonight. And like every time he unfolds the big map, like every county on the map is like, is it me? Like, are you? Am I the county for you? And I'm like, I don't know. So we're just driving around for like 2 hours, and I'm just like jaw jacking the whole time. And Sharon saying nothing. And then finally, I remembered the word arboretum, and I was like, she lives near an arboretum. He's like, all right, all right. So we drive, okay, finally, we find her driveway. We're driving up her driveway. I'm like, this is her house. This is great. We're home. This is amazing. And he was like, wait a minute, this is the person I've been taking home, because he sees the fountain and the swimming pool and like the gigantic mansion. Like, if he dropped us off at my house, it would have been like, like, later, get out of here. But then he was like, oh, I'm getting fucking paid for this shit. He's like, oh, I don't think anybody's home right now. And he was like, I don't care, I can wait all day. And I was like, shit, I gotta find some money in this mansion for this cab driver. And so he's just like waiting outside the cab, like, fucking find me some money, because I'm getting paid. And I was like, oh shit. So we like go inside, and her house was like Iranian 1972 Sultan's palace, like 20-foot high red velvet curtains and like spiral staircase and like a suit of armor, like all this corny shit. It was like, you know, like a greenhouse, like a conservatory. And I'm looking for this ubiquitous pile of money to give a cab driver. Like, what the fuck? Running around. And like Persian art, nothing's a face, because right now everything's a face. Like all the wallpapers, like, want a grape? So, oh shit. So finally I have to wake up the 70-year-old maid from Barbados, grad student, and Sharon's father's mistress. I was like, oh, is there a little bit more change over there on the nightstand? Like flatten out $5 bills and stuff. Finally get the money together. It was like the B-list from Clue. Like, they don't get to go to the sexy murder party, but they get woken up in the middle of the night by teenagers on drugs. And I, at the time, was like the kid on the Perfection board game that's like all the shit's in the air, and they're like, I'm just gonna clean this up. So I like flatten out all the money and give it to the cab driver. He pulls away. I'm like, oh my God. So I run out up to Sharon's room, and I see her, and she was like, I'm sorry you kind of had to take the wheel tonight. And I was like, oh my God. I can't, like, welcome back from your fucking Pegasus ride, Sharon. Well, I've been getting us home all night. Now all of a sudden you start talking. She's like, well, yeah, really sorry you had to sort of like take control. And I was like, oh. I was like, Sharon, we are never doing this again. And I like got out this piece of paper, and I like wrote this contract, like feather pen and like green visor, like blank and blank. I'm never gonna do drugs again because it was scary and fucked up. And I was like, Sharon, sign it. And she was like, I'm not signing that. We had so much fun at the concert, remember? And I was like, it was kind of fun. That like, you know, hearing Black Magic Woman, that moment of like poser's delight. Like, this is the one I know. And then she was like, and what about the guy on the car? And I was like, oh, that was really fun. And she was like, I'm not signing it. We totally had fun tonight. And I was like, no, Sharon, it was really fucked up. I'm the only one who got us home. We're signing this thing. And like, a contract in hand, she was like, do you still have that weed that your brother gave us? And I was like, us? Like, all right. So thank you, you guys.